Listen, Ghalib, you are busy worshiping God's friend.
Great. Usually we'd read it twice, but just for time, we're going to keep going. Good job.
All right.
In this first part of the poem, we thought that Ghalib was trying to tell the reader that that we should like live for today, with the whole "don't skimp with me on wine today." A stingy portion implies a suspicion of heaven's abundance. He says, "Don't worry about tomorrow." Or we thought he meant, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Live for the day. Have fun while you can." Saving it tomorrow seems like you don't believe that maybe there's a better place for us in heaven and that we will be provided for there. The horse of life is galloping. We'll never know the stopping place. Our hands are not touching the reins, nor our feet the stirrups. It's basically the same thing. We don't know when we could pass away.
Yes.
So we might as well just enjoy the ride while it's going.
In a lot of his works, he likes to talk about the trail of life, you know, your journey. I think that the horse is really indicative of that. You know, you're on your journey. You're on the horse. You can't control it. It's just taking you where it's taking you. And the spiritual journey it was a lot of the stuff he wrote was just a lot about that journey, the spirit.
Almost like you have to surrender to that because you're not in control.
Exactly. Okay. The third stanza is, I keep a certain distance from the reality of things. It's the same distance between me and the utter confusion. Now, this is probably my favorite line. I think it's like something about equilibrium, keeping balance in one's life. Because he says he keeps himself from going crazy on one side, but he doesn't go all the way to the reality of it. So he kind of stays in the middle, and I think that he doesn't want to pursue things to the very core of it, because he doesn't want to know. He's not going to like what he sees, pretty much. And he doesn't go all the way to the crazy side because he enjoys what he sees. He enjoys life. He enjoys, you know, God and all this and love. But he doesn't want to explain it too much, but he doesn't want to dwell on it too much either. So I think the whole equilibrium thing, especially with the whole poem, it just kind of stays point on it. It's kind of 2 points on each side, and he's balancing it out in the middle.
Great.
The scene, the one looking, and the ability to see are all the same. If that is so, why am I so confused about this? What is in front of me? I thought this was exactly, if you look at the third and fourth stanza, I thought they're very similar, because the scene, kind of what is the reality, you and what you are, the ability to see, or maybe the loss of the ability to see, so the confusion. And I thought those two stanzas just mirrored each other very, very well, and very, the way he brought it together was very, very different. I mean, that's what I thought, at least. The equilibrium just keeps coming out in this, you know, the live for now and live for the spirit and the soul, stuff like that.
And the greatness of a river depends on its magnificent face. If we break it into bubbles and drops and waves, we are lost. From that one, I thought he went back into the whole living life as it is and just enjoying it. The greatness of a river, if you look at the big picture here, if we break it into the smaller sections, then we're lost. Like if you get lost or if you obsess about the little things in life, like the stuff that goes bad, overall your life is probably good. So I just thought he wanted us to, you know, if you have a happy life, just live for the good moments, not the bad, and forget about those.
I felt like this is probably the climax of the poem at this point. It's just the line. I think that's a beautiful line also. You know, if we break it into bubbles and drops and waves, we are lost. To overanalyze things sometimes is just it's too hard on the brain. I think you just got to let things flow. After this, I really didn't like the poem. I mean, I liked the writing in it, but I thought he could have just ended it here, and it would have been great. Because he goes on to talk about she is not free from her ways to increase her beauty. The mirror she sees is on the inside of her veil, and I thought that was just out of, you know, left field, just coming out of nowhere.
And poets will do that.
Yeah, they will. I took a class on poetry last semester, and it was.
I agree. This is sort of like, who is the she? What's going on?
Yeah, that one and the last stanza really bugged me. I think the one after this really it goes with the theme of the other part of the poem, but it just comes out of nowhere, and I don't know.
What do you think this means? Who is the she? And then the mirror she sees is on the inside of her veil. And
truthfully,
the mirror inside the veil, so people cannot see her, but she can see herself.
yeah.
It's really interesting.
It was like a virgin that's obsessed with her own beauty, with the veil.
Possibly, but how could you even see yourself if you have a veil? It's dark. I don't know. What did you think about it?
What if
That's
it
that's what I was
Exactly.
thinking.
Like if it wasn't black, if it was like
The wedding veil, like when you get married.
Yeah.
It's like see-through.
yeah.
And that's
I
what
don't
they
know
did.
about India at this time, what kind of material it would be or what he's talking
Personally, I thought, at first I thought, well, is he like someone he loves or something like that, love interest of it. I really thought that, the more I thought about it, kind of like inner beauty, you know? You see your world outside in the mirror, and I mean, you can't make yourself prettier or uglier. I mean, I guess now you can, but,
Yeah.
but back then, you know, you saw what you saw and you got what you got. But kind of the veil covering her, her inner beauty, with the veil covering her, it's like she doesn't need to hide. Whatever people think of her, I don't know what her is. At one point I thought that her was the world, the planet, Mother Nature, or something like that.
Oh, the she could be the river.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
thought that, you know, but just kind of moral, not moral, but social norms and stuff like that. That's what came to mind at the end. Social norms of the outside world maybe not perceiving you as beautiful, but your inside veil, the mirror that you see, what you are, it portrays outside the veil, but inside of it, you know.
Do you want to add? Yeah.
It could be the opposite too, like what you're seeing, that's not what everyone else sees.
Yeah.
And what, like, it kind of ties into number 7, what we think is obvious is far beyond our comprehension. Like, what we think is obvious, not everybody.
Yeah.
sees.
Like you see, like if you look at a picture of yourself, you find things that you don't like when people wouldn't even notice it.
I was gonna kind of carry off of that and just like think also what you were saying was like with the river itself, like maybe being like the metaphor for life itself, of just flowing through
Yeah.
life. But then like she is the river, and like how we expect our life to be, and we look at things a certain way within ourselves, but then it's not the same on the outside for everybody else. And so we're like maybe like you said, too critical of things.
Yeah, I think looking into the river, like let's say you were looking at it and the reflection, yeah, maybe it's, I mean the reflection's gonna, even if you're standing a little bit to the side, it's gonna be different to you than it is to the person actually seeing it, you know? That came to mind, but did you have some?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in this culture, but I could have sworn that even today, that women cover themselves completely except for their eyes, like they can't even show the skin off their feet.
It's during this time there was a lot less there was still Muslim people and Muslim interaction, but it was a lot less. Like
But I think in India, I don't know.
India, I think they do they wear shawls. I think
Yeah.
some of their hair still wears.
Yeah,
you
I'm
still
not
see
sure
their
there's
hair.
as severe.
Yeah, hair
But
and
there's
body.
still, they have to
You
be
can
very
see through the-
conservative.
You still can see through the knots.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were.
They keep their faces open. They just use the short sleeve and it's like a long gown.
Yeah.
And
They
they
wear
wrap their
shirts.
hair and neck.
Yeah, they wear
But you can still
shirts.
see
There
like
is still
arms
some
and
kind of
skin.
veil that they could pull. And it could almost be a protective measure. And an emphasis on looking within yourself rather than looking outside for affirmation or something. But good, why don't we wrap up the next 2 months?
What we think is obvious is so far beyond our comprehension. We are still dreaming, even when we dream, we are awake. We had trouble with this line, especially we are still dreaming, even when we dream we are awake.
Yeah.
We weren't sure how it was phrased or if there was supposed to be a comma somewhere in between there. Like,
I thought there'd be one after dreaming, you know. But you could read it like that, or we're still dreaming. Even when we dream, we are awake. You know, there's different ways to read it. I thought that just ties back though to the 3rd stanza where he talks about being the same distance between me and utter confusion. And I think that he, I mean, the speaker, it doesn't have to be actually Ghalib, even though the last stanza kind of says, "Listen, Ghalib," and I actually had trouble with that also because is he saying, "Listen, Ghalib" to himself, or is the speaker telling him, "Listen, Ghalib"? You know,
Yeah.
kind of like that. But I think the confusion that you see earlier in the poem kind of just goes with so obvious, so far behind our comprehension. And I think he's just like, I think literally when he wrote this, he was just looking out in the sky, and or maybe in a river, in a meadow, and he's just like, "What's going on?" You know.
This could be like an idea of like life is a dream. So like, you know, we are awake and then we go to sleep at night, but really even during our waking hours, we are dreaming.
Yeah.
That could be the idea. And have you ever dreamt that you're awake? You know, you have these dreams that you're walking around your apartment and you think you're awake, and then you wake up and it was that, you guys, is that
That's it, every dream you're in, you think that you're actually living.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know you're doing
I
it.
Shut up, don't lie. Okay, and then the last line, I just thought it was literal, like, from the smell of my friend's friend, I get the smell of my friend, like, smells are rubbing off on different people. I think it's almost kind of a funny line, after
Yeah.
this kind of like serious poem, he's like, I smell my friend on my friend.
Yeah,
I think it's more like they rub off of each other, like the knowledge I pass on to Justin goes on to the.
It could be metaphorical, but I take it almost literally, like if I hang out with my friends who are smoking cigarettes, and or whatever they're smelling like, and it rubs off of me, and then I come in here and I smell like cigarettes, and you smell my friends, you know, like, I mean, it could almost be erotic too.
I just thought it was came out of nowhere, but I thought you get the smell of the friend's friend, and then he's saying, "Listen, Ghalib, you're busy worshiping God's friend." I thought he was saying maybe the guy smells bad, but he's like, well, this is still God's son or whatever.
Yeah.
So just take it as it is, or something like that, you know.
Yeah. Good. Do you have anything essential left to say? I think you did a good job.
I think that's about it.
Great job.